practice, but
it's worth it.
So when I talk, I just talk like this.
Yeah,
to you.
we're on now still talking like this.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, but I look at you, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
So our guest this morning is affectionately dubbed the community's attorney. Kaysia extends her expertise beyond the courtroom by offering free legal seminars to empower civilians and to increase awareness of constitutional rights. She is Kaysia Earley, and she joins us now. Jamaican heritage. Well, Jamaican heritage, lives in the States, practices in the States. Good morning. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So you are here for the entire month of June.
I am.
Just like Dad used to take you back for summers, you are here with your kids, kind of perpetuating that culture and legacy and so on. You keep your Jamaican roots strong.
Absolutely. These are the things that I remember. So every summer, my dad used to bring us here for most of the summer. And if I can remember that as a child, I know that I'm passing on that culture, that tradition. And he used to take us around the entire island before the highways were built. And it just brings back those memories. So I'm trying to instill that into my children.
Yeah. Married for 20 years, you said?
That's right.
You sure?
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm practicing for 10.
Practicing for 10 criminal defense, which is, by the way, the hardest area of practice.
Criminal defense?
Criminal defense.
Why?
Yes. Well, you know, I guess it's life. It's a cycle. So in my earlier years, 20 years ago, I found myself on the other side of the justice system. And as it goes, God took me from being a criminal to the top criminal defense attorney. And it's a blessing. Tell
me what was happening at that time in your life and what happened to land you in jail.
So 20 years ago, I was in college, working 3 jobs, true Jamaican.
You need 2 more.
while in school full time, and one of my jobs, I was working at a shoe store. And when my friends found out where I was working, they would come and I would give them a discount. Well, the hookup, exactly, but that was considered embezzlement because when you're entrusted with the funds of your employer and you don't utilize those funds as they should, it's embezzlement. So not only was I fired, but I was arrested, charged with felony embezzlement, and incarcerated while pregnant in solitary confinement.
Stop that.
Yes.
Why solitary?
Well, typically solitary confinement is used for punishment, but because I was pregnant, it was for my protection from general population. But that is where I had the time to rediscover what I really wanted to do, reflect on my bad decisions and choices, and really kind of pull in closer to my spiritual walk with Christ.
Gen Pop is hard, solitary is, some would say, harder. How long were you in for?
Well, it was a period of 30 days, and then I was on probation for 3 years, had to pay restitution. But it is the lasting effects of even being a criminal, because it's unheard of, really, to go from being a criminal to being sworn into the bar. So it wasn't easy.
So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. How did that go?
Well, you know, I really had to hold on to my faith. Truly, because when I applied to law school, I was given a warning and I was told you can go to law school, incur debt, and pass the bar and still not be sworn in. So I had to hold on to my faith and believe the promises of God that I received when I was incarcerated. So went through law school, had the 4 children at the time, worked as well, and thankfully, I was sworn into the bar, and in 10 years, I was able to transform the lives of thousands of people, not only who retained me, but also in my community. So
let's talk about that community engagement and why you decided that was important.
Well, I grew up very poor. It's no bones about it. Unfortunately, my parents did not have what we call the formal education and training, but they taught us wisdom, knowledge. And that is my way of giving back, because I feel like as a first-generation college graduate, even being a double minority in a male-dominated profession, we're typically looked upon as incompetent until presumed competent.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, so it's always...
Females make up less than 4% of the legal
Less than 4%. And then when you get to the criminal realm, it's even less, because criminal is a very hard area of practice. If I lose, my client can go to jail for life. So this is not an easy area of law. It's a high burden for the prosecution. So we always have to present ourselves 110%. I can't have a day off. And so I want to inspire young ladies, young minorities, to go into an area of law. It's not always about looks, but it's what's in your head that will propel you up the ladder of success.
In less than a decade, navigated over 100 jury and non-jury trials, securing over 300 dismissals.
Yes.
That's a lot to do in a short space of time.
It is.
What brings you more joy, this or your community engagement?
It's a combination of both, because I'm still serving my community. Even as a private attorney, I don't charge as much as probably I should, because I have been awarded so many awards, top 40, top 10. But I always say, when you chase money, it's more stressful. When you chase your goals and aspirations, the money will chase you. Your reputation will precede you. So I do serve the community, but I didn't come out saying, okay, I want to serve the community. I lead with the heart, because I always feel fortunate. I shouldn't even be a lawyer. Who goes from being incarcerated to serving the very clients that she once was in that space? So it's my way of giving back.
Sort of Suits. Did you watch Suits?
You know, it's hard to watch these legal shows because it's compacted and it's not really.
I just binged it, so that's why the story is just to see some parallels here. So what is it that you teach the folks who you do the pro bono work for? Is it rights, and what are you teaching them?
Well, most importantly, their legal rights.
Yeah.
So I came up with TRAPS, and basically those are your basic constitutional rights. So that if you ever, not if, but when, because the majority of minorities in America are disproportionately stopped, apprehended, arrested, charged, and convicted.
It's an interesting time in the States now, is it not?
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But you know what I say? I tell our people, minorities, we have to stop being reactive and be proactive. Every time there's a shooting, we go out and march. Why don't you educate yourself on the law? Why don't you become, a politician or be the change that you want to see? Which is why 2 years ago I ran for judge, because I wanted to be that change. You don't see a lot of minority female judges, clerks, attorneys. So we have to, encourage our youth to be in a position, be on the right side of the criminal justice system.
What happened with that run for judge?
Shy of 300 votes. What? I had over 115,000. And that's another thing I'm educating our people. We have to vote, right? Shy of 300 votes. But I always say it wasn't in God's time. It was a dry run.
Yeah, you're going to do it again.
Yeah, to be continued.
Dry run.
To be continued.
I love that. So while you're here at home, are you doing any pro bono work, or are you just kind of relaxing until you go back?
No, I am out in the community still. I have a house in Trelawney, and that is my community when I'm here. Gotcha. I want to meet up with the local politicians to talk about safety for tourists and locals with driving. There's some issues that I see. So I talk to my neighbors in my community. Wherever I'm at, that's my community. Yep. So no matter what people are saying, you're not relaxing. No, you can't relax when you have a heart of service.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll continue to do so.
Yes, ma'am. I hear you. I'm surprised you're not at the diaspora conference.
I actually was there yesterday, and I attended the church service, and So
I mean, no, say your voice, I go vocal in that.
Of course.
If you can help Jamaica, your voice is thrown in. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for coming and sharing your story with us.
I thank you for the opportunity. And I want to give a special shout out to Sean Contractor and all of the Jamaican American politicians in South Florida, because we are really making a difference. Denise Grant is running for mayor in Lauderhill, and so many other politicians. So I just really want to thank you for this opportunity, and stay tuned.
So welcome. Great to meet you. Attorney at law, Kaysia Earley. Coming up next, we are speaking with the author of her latest publication, In the 3 a.m. What's that about? We'll tell you on the other side.